And we're live. It's the website one meeting, which we haven't visited now, and it's bi-weekly inter-sprint mode. Sam and Matt, here we are. Yes, website one. So let me share my screen here.
Yeah, you're good at taking notes.
Well, thank you. That's yeah, and well, someone just showed me today an interesting alternative, not necessarily for notes, but wow, like these templates for like doing retrospectives and things, and
Yeah.
but yeah, the downside of me doing this little text here is that not everybody can write on it, which I think they should be able to, but it does usually mean, as long as my computer's being cooled properly, that it's quite speedy.
Well,
And
you could use, you said you don't like, I think the other day, but Google Docs where we can.
yeah, we have used that in a lot of situations. The problem has been the speed of
Yeah.
it, like the speed at the beginning of a meeting with which I can throw up one of these versus
Yeah.
a Google Doc. When things are working smoothly, we've used. I thought we used the Google Docs in the beginning of the sprint last year extremely effectively, and we were able to like all be editing like quite a complex diagram at the same time.
Yeah. I
Anyhow,
mean, that's something that maybe I could help get set up before we start the meeting.
conceivably, I mean, we do that for the marketing meeting, but I think even then, there's like as the machine speed goes up and down, even if it's all completely set out, it still sometimes can just, you're trying to type and it slows down. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's still a problem if the computer's not cooled properly, but
it's not clear if people will actually use it to collaborate on taking notes or not.
as well. So yeah, but anyway, things to experiment with and reflect on in retrospectives. But so in website one, I know we've got there are some open PRs, so PRs should be reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
The which we could do. The board should probably be reviewed. We've I guess within there we've got that little fire from that came in Sage the issue, which we should fix. I think other perhaps minor fires will be they're in the PR and the board and so on. I guess the bigger one that we've got more generally is performance, which conceivably might be the topic of a sprint at some point. I mean, we're going to do the local sports sprint next week, and I forget now, but maybe there's a website one sprint coming in the distance. But that's sort of what's is that all the things on my mind there. The person who couldn't seem to adjust their credit card now seems to have made a payment, so I guess that's perhaps less important than it was. I guess the other thing is that this is extremely interesting to me is that as we continue to run our Agile Ventures, I've forgotten what it's called now, our Agile Ventures Vanity, I think it's a lovely name for the gem, it actually seems to have gone back a little bit the other way. So this has continued running, and we've now actually had like 7 people. Like it's looking much less one-sided than it was, and whereas before it was when the numbers were lower, it was saying, "Oh yeah, it's statistically significant. You should switch to this one." Now it's telling us it's not statistically significant, and we should continue the experiment. So like it's still the trend is still that the text one is kind of preferred, but it's much less convincing than it was. And I mean, in some ways, if we could leave this long and like the other thing this is tracking on a potential longer run is do any of these people go on to become premium members? And if we were to discover that, more people were becoming premium members as a result of coming through the image sides, that would, so I'm kind of leaving it running for the time being. Anyway, so like, I just wanted to share that with you because it was on my mind and related to website one. But
Yep.
so yeah, was there anything particularly on your mind relating to website one that we should add in there before we do some of these things?
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing. That is getting the PRs reviewed and the board reviewed. And also to do with the sprint, like if this, I mean I guess that we will have maybe one more. Yeah, I just if we can get a date for the sprint would be nice, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I've done. Did I do this? I did do
Yeah, I
the
think you did a
somewhere. I put. I forget now. Dun, 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 dun. Where did I put it? I think. Did I thought I put it in professional development? I thought, which I now can't find. Go on, lots of professional develop. Yeah. So yeah, we've got
to be determined.
We've got a TV. So that would potentially be a date for a website one sprint. So that's our sprint calendar.
Although it's interesting, like I think on my side, it's interesting to see, you know, like you said, we're experimenting with this and to see how much we get done between now and the next sprint, not the one coming up, but the next one on NHS Wiki, because I think, you know, potentially we could do like, you know, NHS, local sport, NHS, website one, NHS, you know.
Yes, there's all sorts of things. I mean, I'd love to do one on RFM at some point.
That'd be cool as well. I guess that takes a little bit more coordination with Robert. You know?
Indeed. Okay. I'm just going to put that in there. And so here, updated sprint plans. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So then, but there's, I guess, yeah, we can go to the PRs now, can we?
Yep. While you're doing that, someone sent me a message today that Jitsi Meet is now with a geographical bridge cascading, which lets you always use a server near you. So it's just a change that just happened that
okay
affect things.
That's interesting. Jitsi has new use. Oh yeah, I mean that could improve the performance, or not. Yeah, we would this make it performant enough for our needs? Yes, I'm just going to turn around this note and say what sprint we've got. Performance we've got. Migrate to Docker. Okay. Right. I guess there's also, I mean, there's an act. I haven't deployed for a few weeks.
Oh yeah. Oh no, sorry.
So I think that we're backing up on and stuff, but that should be looked at separately. Okay, so yeah, let's have. I think looking at the PRs is a good first step, in as much as the PRs are an indication of the stuff that's like really actually happening like right now, like
yeah.
right now, and you know they should not be left festering, if that's right, or brewing.
I think maybe the most I don't know. I was going to say is that one there.
Yeah. So I think I'd sort of glanced over it, but yes, this is looking good, isn't it? So the tests are all passing. It's a refactoring.
Yeah.
We've now got, so here we've got a single thing there, which is like saying to add new languages to the project. So add new languages to the project. So what that does is we go new languages for projects each. So new languages for projects does that. It does that set operation to give us all the new languages, and then each of the new languages we say, right, let's insert that finding or creating it as appropriate And okay, and so this new language is we grab the GitHub languages for it and the DB languages for it, and that's how we do the thing. And then we've got an error logging thing. Yeah, wonderful. I think. Yeah. Did you have any concerns about any of this?
The only thing I had a question about is that they got the test passing by updating the VCR, but I'm not sure if there was even a VCR in the first place. But I think
Right.
we were talking about having those updated as things change. So I guess that's probably not a concern at all.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't think. I wonder. Can we see what's in there? I mean, I guess we can note immediately things. We've got things like the client ID and the client secret in there, which is not ideal. So yeah, I mean that's something we could flag as, because there is a whole thing with VCR for managing VCR credentials.
A bit of a config.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we do have it configured some, but maybe that's not one of the things that's
yeah, I mean there's some change there. They have a, is it mentioned in their filter?
They have here filter sensitive data, and there.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a link directly into the docs so that we can suggest to them that they.
Oh yeah, cool.
They do this. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm just seeing there. So this is the person I'm discussing on LRUG with it, is actually one of the contributors to VCR. So that's
oh, nice.
Cool. But yeah, so is there more documents as usage? Is there further documentation that we can, the Relish docs? Here we go.
Most of the stuff I found on Relish. Yeah.
So we've got.
Although this seems a bit outdated because we're using VCR4, and this is like documentation for VCR3, but that's the most up to date that it is. They have.
Yeah, well, hopefully the filtering sensitive data hasn't. So filter sensitive data there. So that's there. So we could go and, I mean, I can prepare here. We can say, the only thing I'd say about this is at the kind of extreme side in terms of almost these methods are like 1 or 2 lines each.
Yeah, I thought about that as well.
But I know people who kind of prefer that, and I know people who are like, let's have 100-line methods. And I usually kind of, I tend to find it easier if it's kind of like 3 or 4 methods is about, like, when I'm working with this kind of thing, like I tend to, it feels like a little bit more effort to work out what's going on, because I'm jumping to different, we're like if we do this for everything, we're like introducing lots and lots of terminology. Some people would say, oh, that promotes wonderful reuse. Then I ask the question is like, well, how much are we going to reuse all of this? But I think in this case, first submission by this person, this is fantastic. If it's still passing all the tests, that's wonderful. So, and that's.
I guess kind of, we can. I don't know if when we get to that PR that I put in for that small fire, we can contrast it with like the way. I mean, even if you look at the commit history, like when I worked on it with her, we just worked on actually extracting almost everything and just putting it into a different method, which shortened the run method. But then it was like, then it's I don't know. Then it's like just moving that to a different place, which
right. Although I mean, like. It's an interesting thing. So like we could be, don't do that. Just like grabbing this, which I think is what you're describing, and pulling that out. That already reduces the complexity of the run method.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's fine as a first start. And then it's this question of like how finely do you slice and dice it? And they've gone quite fine here, and that's okay. And it could be that you just split it in half, and then that is so subjective about like what is exactly the right thing to do, and wars have been started over exactly these things. So yeah, but yeah, we'll come on to the next one. Let's in here. I was just going to say, wonderful, Elisa. Thanks so much.
I was going to have a look.
Do notice, yeah, have a look at the existing configuration, because do we have something in there that should be filtering them and is not?
Well, sorry, we have it's filtering Slack auth token and
right.
Get API token.
Yeah,
and those are both in the env variable.
IDs in the VCR YAML file also committed. We should probably filter these out. VCR has some settings for this. Let's see. So the interesting thing here is, this is this thing I'm writing my chapter on for my book, is about, I think me in the past, I would have potentially got into you should check this, and I like 3-line methods or this, that, and the other, which I think is probably actually counterproductive. Then there's with this one, and I think it's like with this one, like this VCR thing, she may not have heard of it. It may be a thing that she's interested to do, and it's potentially a good learning experience. I mean, it could be that she's not interested in doing it and will need to do it, but that's another matter. But there's this ongoing judgment call of like, with somebody contributing, somebody learning, is like, what's the right amount of pushback to, should you just, merge everything that gets submitted with a great big smile on your face, or, is it all just about making friends, or are you, anyway? But so somebody
like she has her partner as well. Like I remember he's been doing it for like, he's been coding for like 10 years. So he was helping her as well, so. And I did notice that one of the other things I just noticed that I had to look at is that I had there like a .collect and collecting the language, and then I called the method collect on it again to convert it to a symbol, whereas he has changed that, or I think more he than her, but has changed it to like a map with like language.name.to symbol. So I thought that was interesting.
Here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a one would be better than the other. I mean, I felt like it is a little bit weird to call the collect method twice just to convert it to a symbol. So I guess this would probably be better. But
I mean, I think when it gets down to there, it's like those levels of things, like unless, like for me, I just wouldn't worry about it, like unless it then shows up later on a performance issue, say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like the security stuff, and whether it does the right thing for the user, and it ends up being sort of, I would say, so much more important. Not that it isn't fun to, as we did yesterday, looking at that thing. I mean, that where I started turning your longer method into like a regex, and that's kind of a madness in itself. There's a wonderful Python course, I forget by whom, is intro Python course for Google, and the guy talks about there is a madness that can consume a programmer, which is that their desire to keep going to boil more and more complex stuff down, and can we get it shorter? Can we get it shorter? Can we get it shorter? And it becomes like doing a crossword puzzle, that you're just like totally wrapped up in it, and it's not necessarily for the great fun. So that's what
the other thing. Sorry, not to potentially reviewing pull requests with me is an all day thing, but just real quick, because they're going to get to it when we get to the board. You see there on line on where they're line 17 there on the left, or it can be either one. Yeah, where it's like calling the languages on. So the way we have it currently, this GitHub repo name is actually returning the repo. Or is actually returning the username, sorry. And then the GitHub repo username is actually returning the repo name. So one of the tickets I put there is to actually like swap the logic to, so
right, which would be that sounds a very good thing to fix in another refactoring ticket. Yes, excellent. So what I wanted to do before I put this comment in there was I wanted to check in the existing code base, like the method so at the moment, this do we have this thing tested in? It's tested in here, right? Is this the one that tests that this all works, or am I getting
No,
completely...
that one we'll get to in a second.
No, this is GitHub
In the
languages.
demo. Yeah, GitHub languages. Yeah.
Right. So we have a GitHub. So right. So we previously committed VC, like we previously, like before they ever got involved.
Yeah.
You've written this test, or you've written this test for this with VCR, and then I guess what I was just wondering was, if I go into now, can I see the where do I see the cassettes? Not in here. The features is fixtures. I have as local support that it's in a.
Yeah.
It's in the thing, and this is actually I prefer this way around. That it's in the fixtures. And that's no, I don't prefer those kind of fixtures. So where are the cassettes?
Features, fixtures, I think, isn't it?
I'm not seeing fixtures in there. I thought it was. Oh, it is support fixtures. Okay, yeah. There. And so, oh god, and I have to now. So is there something like? Oh gosh, this is then organized by the. I'll have to go and look in. This is then all organized in. Come on, brain. The DevOps GitHub languages, it's organized by this name. So update GitHub languages field. So here, there should be a update GitHub. So, right. So it looks like previously the YAML file wasn't checked in.
Yeah.
So they are the first people checking it in.
Yeah.
We maybe should have, like, this is work perhaps that we should have done previously. Like,
yeah.
So it's.
I think it's because I'm so used to not checking in any of the of those files that I didn't think. What if it's the first time the file is being created?
Yeah. Yes. So I'll just say I note that we should have checked this file in previously and sorted out the filtering ourselves. So if you don't want to work on this, that's fine, and we'll take care of it. But if you're interested, please we'd love your help. Okay. Good. I hope that like balances the creating an opportunity for ongoing learning and fun, and not putting pressure on people who are too busy. So
yeah,
who knows? Yeah. So okay, so that's like review done. So
then probably
other things. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say then probably the most important would be the one that the issue that Sage brought up, maybe.
Right. Yes, it absolutely would. And so yeah, let's look at that one. And so here, yeah, so you've taken the thing and you've extracted it to a separate method.
But you can see it's still quite a long method, and then it's like it's difficult for me to look at that and be like, okay, I can extract this more, and what would I call the methods, like.
Yeah, but what I would say here is, right, at the moment this method has no tests, right?
No.
So I would say, like, in the scheme of like priority ordering.
Sorry. Let me back up. There are some tests that I changed that we're testing this functionality.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I did my scrolling thing here. I thought I'd seen project steps, and I thought I'd come to the end of the thing. My apology. Right. And so we've got,
which I potentially
we've got one spec here.
Yep.
That's being changed.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I potentially made worse by like it failed the build because of that, I think. Because like the first time it was expecting that the project .first.pitch to equal the README.
I'm reading it, yes.
Because it's not going to equal the README. It's because we're changing it. The README.
Right. So the thing to do now, I guess this is getting the OctoKit at the moment. This is getting the OctoKit contents, and it's comparing them directly. Right. Yeah. Okay. So
one thing if I like one thing so what my thought was that you know, because we are checking that it's not raising an error, which, you know, means that it's gone through the process, and we're checking that that there is something in this project's first.pitch, which is the project Agile Ventures. And then what my thought was after this is what I started to do was to write acceptance tests that would like go to the page, like run the job, go to the page, and then click on one of the links that I know was a relative link before, and check to see that they get redirected to the GitHub page. But the issue that I had with that, and the reason I had to stop on that, was because the way the VCR was recorded in the first place was only recording the first line of the pitch or the README. So I couldn't. There was nothing for me to click on. So now after the fact that I've re-recorded the VCRs in that other PR, now I think that I might be able to take that approach and actually interact with the page.
Maybe so. Yeah, that's an interesting way to go. So so what we've got here is you've updated the spec. Yeah, this makes sense. The way that you've had to update it in this case. Yeah, you're talking about, can we have an acceptance test for the user experience that they click and they go to? I think that the one of the difficulties we might have there is Capybara will not take us to that other location. So that's generally something that you can't so easily test. I think a lot of people often try to do that at this point. What it seems to me is that what the opportunity that we have here, having extracted this method here, is, now let's have a look here. We've got
we can write unit tests, like you were saying, so that
we can have a spec on this, where we can have like an artificially constructed README that just has like one absolute link and one relative link and what have you, and then check. So I think that's the thing. Like, so your question relating to the previous ticket that we were talking about was like, oh, this is quite long. How would I break it up? I would try and actively avoid thinking about how to refactor it or break it up until having it wrapped in unit tests at this level, because what the unit then tests allow you to do is refactor in safety, knowing that refactorings that you've made like still work, and that's, you know, I think that's a much easier place.
Yeah, without manually testing it, like I've been doing, like running the rake job and dropping in a binding.pry and then going there, or
and it allows us, particularly in this case, where we've got kind of like a part of the site that's broken and has been observed and has been flagged as an issue by a person. Like, you know, we might say, oh, in our clean code things, this is too long a method, but screw code climate at this point. If this works and the unit tests show that it's working, we should get this out straight away, like get it deployed, you know, see the fix, pop the champagne, and then in a relaxed and heady mood can come back to saying, now, what do we think about and that's, you know, it's again, the wonderful thing that we've had there with Elisa is that, you know, you could have been the one driving the refactoring. I mean, you paired with, is it Elizabeth? On that thing. The refactoring tickets, they're just great places for new people to get started on. So I you know, I deprioritize that, and anyway, I think you've totally got, and I'm now doing what my wife hates, which is I'm continuing to talk after everybody understands what's going on. But I have trouble stopping talking, so that's we'll work on that in therapy. Yes. So we've got like 15 minutes. No, is it 15 minutes? No, it's not 15 minutes. We've got another 15 minutes of this meeting before a break, and then we do, or have we? What's the? Let me look at my schedule again.
12:30 to 1 is the when the other, or my 12:30 to 1, 3:30 to.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of gone over the time we had, but.
Oh no, we've got. I mean, I sort of put it down as 45 minutes, so we've kind of. This is we're just at the end of the current time as allocated. But actually, we've got another half an hour before the next meeting starts.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. But so the priority there is clear. I guess. So let's not get into the automating. I mean, the VCR renewal, if you've got a pull request that just is all the new certificates and it's all passing, then that's like wonderful. We should merge it in. As I was saying before, we probably don't want the thing that, like the change to the configuration to VCR, and unless I might be completely misunderstanding it, but it just seems like a kind of, I can't imagine wanting to have it kind of automatically happen in the background. You know, am I making sense?
Yeah, I mean that does make sense. I would say that like on website one, and I think I've already said this, so at the sake of repeating myself, is that there's not a lot of manual updating that actually needs to be done. There's, I think, just the GitHub, and maybe there's a way of saying like, don't renew these anything in the DevOps file, and we can manually do that. If there is a way, then that would be great. And then the other ones, we don't have it. We didn't have any failing tests, having renewed those. So although,
right, I totally didn't understand the first part, but maybe I don't need to. The second part, like you're saying, when we like but anyway, throwing out the old VCRs and rerunning the system, the tests all passed. So with some minor changes. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we had like 3. The tests in the DevOps needed to be altered because they're testing things that are you know, like
dynamic based on like these things that we're looking at now.
Yeah. So
okay, right.
I'm saying that maybe there's a way we can actually manually update those when we want to, which, you know, can be with whatever.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, but that could be. Yeah. That sounds like a wonderful thing to think about, given that we've done a refresh of the VCR cassettes. So, I mean, I'm looking at here, there's that commit, that updates the tests. This commit here contains all completely new cassettes.
Yeah.
And
the configuration.
And the configuration change.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so we've got like that.
Yeah, that's because I deleted the Twitter feature test because we don't have a Twitter feature right now. So.
Right. So we should, I would delete. Make sure if we're deleting the Twitter feature test, we talked about that in the retro. Let's delete the Twitter feature code as well. But yeah, because the code is still there, so we should remove the code and the gem dependency and do that as one thing separately. I would say, so that it can then be found as one pull request where, you know, it collects the tests and the gem and the code together. If you know what I mean.
It just it was failing that Twitter feature was failing the test, and then I didn't.
Right, that's what
I didn't feel like updating it, and then it'll fail the build as well. Which, like, I think like if it fails the code climate, it's easier for you to see why it's failing than if it fails the build.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so I would, if you want to change this so that we, I mean, almost.
Can you have a look at the configuration and tell me, because there's more than just the automatic, like, I mean, maybe it's just remove.
The difficulty here is because I can't see the configuration change very easily because the pull request is so long with all the different YAML files. I can't easily get to the configuration change. I mean, I could if I pulled it down locally. But
I mean, I can show you. Let me share my screen. I mean, potentially, you're just what you're saying is just to erase what I added to the VCR.RB, but you have this like clean, outdated HTTP interactions set through. So I'm not sure if that would be something that would be a problem. And so maybe what you're talking about is just this re-record interval.
Well, I would say any change. I mean, like at the moment, like. If we're doing a pull request to update the YAML files, let's do that and not make any change to the VCR configuration, because it just, like, for me, they're completely standalone. Let's not make a speculative partial change to the VCR configuration at the same time. Like for me, in the order of priority is, like, you know, one, we need, you know, new what are they, VCR YAMLs. That's kind of like one thing. Now, you've mentioned there that, like, if we do the new YAMLs, then the Twitter ones fail. So I'd back up there and say, let's remove Twitter gem
Yeah.
functionality and Twitter tests.
Yeah.
And do that pull request first.
Yeah.
So that that's all in one place and that's gone. And then we do like a separate pull request is like, right, remove all the VCR YAMLs or sorry, update them. And then, you know, if there's some configuration change that we might want to make the VCR, I think that's an open question at the moment.
Yeah.
About whether we want any, and we, you know, like there's more discussion to have on LRUG and you to catch up for the discussion on LRUG. And but independently of all the discussion on LRUG, whatever, this we believe is a good thing that should be done, and because Nick was saying this will help us then update our Stripe and other things for security issues, and this is clearly a good thing to have got done at least once. And then the future is, you know, do we go with sort of like a VCR bot that puts in these things at some frequency, or do we start snubbing gems instead of using VCR in and so on? But that's then a whole. We can have that debate after these two more pressing things can be done, right?
Yep. The only question I had about that is that with these putting in these new VCR YAMLs, we have seen in at least one case that there is some sensitive data there that we would need to make a configuration to filter out. Like, would that be done before these new VCRs are put in, or we're going to wait to see?
Well, it would. Like at the moment, we're not like. There's another pull request, which is like, so there's Elizabeth's one, which has like some sensitive data in it, but that's a new YAML. We're not aware of any existing VCR YAMLs having sensitive data in them, but we could be doing a review to check that, and that's another thing. And
I mean, sorry. The stuff that I'm creating right now has that same YAML as part of it, because the GitHub Languages job is merged into to develop. So that YAML will I didn't push it in the first time, but it will be pushed in with this new YAML. If you add all of them, yes. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, yeah. Clearly we don't want to push in a YAML with sensitive data, although it's already there in Elizabeth's pull request. So and in mine as well.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Fair enough. So you could reach out to Elizabeth and say, "Oh, I'm gonna. I don't know if you wanted to do this. I need to do it for my, updating all the YAMLs thing. Do you want to pair on it or not? Or maybe you don't want to pair, and you can work out where to go there. But I
guess the question I have is that
just hold on a second. So there's the new one that we know does have sensitive information in it. One could combine that with an audit of just reviewing all of the other YAML files to check for any other sensitive information that might have sneaked in. Yeah. All right, go on.
I was just going to say that this is not the first DevOps YAML that would have been put into GitHub. So and it's not being filtered out. So potentially all of the ones that have been there.
Yeah, although they weren't all using the client secret before. So some of them were just using a unauthorized client. But let's not split hairs about it. That independently of that, the action that we need to take is the same, which is that we should ideally be checking all the YAMLs for sensitive data before then getting the new YAMLs in. So yeah, so we need to wrap up. I guess so we don't really have time. I guess we have here. So this was, oh gosh, what was his name? I've forgotten his name now. He came into the React mob. Is he called Joseph? He's called Joseph, isn't he? So we have this one. Yeah, right, and he was asking about this here, and I guess he hasn't been able to. So I guess we'll go here and say, hi there. Guess you didn't have time to follow up with tests. Would you like us to add them for you? Question mark. Because that would be quite a nice thing to get out. That's not super critical. We've got outstanding bits and pieces. We've got this one from Nick, where we've got, yes. So I think, well, Nick, did you have some questions about this one? I'm pairing with him tomorrow, so perhaps we'll look at that together. There was this one is
yeah,
would be great to get out. Was there outstanding stuff to do there? Did it need my review? What was the?
I think you might have already reviewed it. Well, there was a question about like I had a question about some stuff being in there that didn't have anything to do with the actual ticket. But
Right.
I don't know if it's more difficult to remove it at this point than to just refactor it in the way that you said. Like
Right.
this event frequency doesn't really have anything to do with.
Right, because this is the join.
Yeah, and then you did. Yeah, you were talking about maybe not using a message. I can't remember. This is a good thing about.
Yeah. No, it starts to come back to me. But yeah, well, we've got this thing like it's adding, like the DB schema is supposed to have been removed, and it's maybe coming back in, and I want to avoid that if we can, at least for the moment. Yeah. So certainly this one again in that copious spare time that you seem to have. You can try merging it in to develop, or like maybe can I even do that from here? Does it give me an option? It does not. Yeah, so this would be a great one to tidy. I mean, this is I think a particular thing. Like, it's great that we're taking action on the VCR and this, that, and the other. One rule of thumb that I often try to use is to try to avoid opening new pull requests for and obviously there's something on fire, we've got to fix it, like this one. But yeah, it's great to be able to try and fix up the, get through the pay down the backlog here. I mean, I think this one is kind of looking good. I mean, I've got a backlog of things for you to review and push out. This has got to, yeah, I've got to take another look at that. I think it may just be ready to merge now, and I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I think so. There's also that projects index redesign, or is that the project? No, not the projects index redesign. I think that one can be closed. I had closed it and then I reopened it. I don't know why.
Let's that because basically we split it up into multiple other things, haven't we? So let's and the one is this, the sorting thing is now deployed. So this was like, we can close this one as well, right? This was that was just like a first start on that. That's good. And then
there's the three rows redesign project list of 3 rows.
So, and then there's My Silly Spike. This is, we've got this thing, if we get back to actually sending out newsletters, at the moment, new people who sign up with GitHub and Google, automatically, they will ignore their preference in terms of being sent emails and default it to like, don't send me anything ever.
It's one of the ones I asked the English Hack Night if they wanted to work on it, and we were thinking about, that's one I want to work on. And then there's also that Remove Mercury that that Nate was talking about.
Which I think, we'll leave it. I think we'll leave that there for the moment, and potentially reviewing these all again. Okay, well, I think that's a good coverage for the moment. Yeah, I need to go. Let's have a little break, and then we'll come back with the NHS Wiki meeting in a bit.
Cool, awesome.
Thanks, Matt. Bye for now.